All right, today is the second day for the writing. We started yesterday. We couldn't have a class on Monday, so we started yesterday, and I said it's going to extend till Saturday. And yesterday we delved into task one, task one for the general training candidate and the academic training candidate. I said you're going to be illustrating a graph if you're doing the academic training, and you'll be writing a letter if you're doing the general training. And I gave us step by step processes on how to handle each subsection of what you're going to be doing. For instance, the academic training illustrating a graph, you have your introduction where you paraphrase the prompt, and then you have your overview paragraph where you state the most obvious on the graph, and then you have your detailed paragraph where you state what you said in the overview paragraph, but now with details, with dates, with degrees, with time, and then with all the figures there is all represented in the graph. Now for the general training, you're writing a letter, you're starting with your salutation, and I give you salutation for the formal, informal, and semi-formal letter, and then you have from your salutation you have your introduction. Your introduction is the opening statement, that statement that represents or that presents the purpose for your writing. Now, after evaluating your submissions today, many of you would have seen the correction because I gave a correction at the end. Now, follow it as a guide for the next one. Today, we would also be doing task one. We'll be revising task one more in depth, in a more in depth way. So, you're going to be using that as a guide so that you can find your way around it. Okay? Now, listen carefully. For those doing the academic training, the way you address line graph, like I said yesterday, may not be the way you would address pie chart, bar charts, diagram, or table, because these are different diagrams in themselves. These are different visual information in themselves. And so you have the same format in that you would have your introduction, the overview, the detailed paragraph. You would have that as a similarity amongst all of them, but then the disparity, the discrepancy, the difference would be the way you're writing, because your terminologies, your lexicals, and then the language you're going to be using would change because they are not portraying, they are not trying to serve the same purpose, they're not trying to say the same thing. While a line graph is showing trends, a pie chart is showing proportion, a bar chart is showing distribution. You see now a diagram is trying to show a way around stuffs, and then a table is trying to show columns and rows of calculations like that. And so these things differ whilst you're trying to interpret or illustrate them. Do you understand? And so your terms would differ, but then you're following the same format in that you would have your introduction, the overview, and then the detailed paragraph. That's just the similarity. Okay. Now let's delve into today's class. Tonight we'll focus on both trainings. Part one is the academic task. And like I gave yesterday, you'll be asked to describe visual information such as graph, charts, table map, or process. And then in general, you'll be asked to write a letter. Now I want to focus on the academic training first. Now listen carefully. The band descriptors, like if you saw the evaluation I gave today, I gave you based on task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy. I scored you all based on these four band descriptors, and that's how it is in the IELTS exam. That's how it is. It's going to be in the actual exam. That's how you're going to be scored. And then because your task achievement has its band score, your coherence and cohesion has its band score, your lexical resource has its band score, your grammatical range and accuracy has its band score. Now these are going to be merged and then averaged, which would give your overall band score. Like you saw it today, that's how it's going to be in your exam. And so you should focus on developing in each of these band descriptors, develop how you achieve the task. That is for task achievement. Now look at what's on your screen. It asks if you covered all the key features. That's for the academic training, did you write at least 150 words? If you did not, if it was 140, if it was, some of you wrote beyond, you wrote close to 200 words based on my counting today. You wrote close to 200 words. You don't have all the time. You just have 20 minutes. And you should start timing yourself. Okay, it's okay to want to start to understand fully or holistically the writing, or that's the very writing act, the act of writing, the writing module, before you start timing yourself, it's okay to do that, but then don't go beyond the borderline. Try to keep yourself around 160, 165. That's max 165. Don't go below 150. 150, 160. How do you count these words? Now, in a row, you can count up to 10 words. Count each words, just count the first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For instance, look at your screen. Let me make use of, say, let me see. No. Look at your screen, please. Okay, look at the end of that band 9 sample response, the formal letter, and I wrote dear sir or madam. Look at it there. Look at it. I am writing to express my concern regarding a district. Can you see it? If you can see, just type I can. Can you see it? If you can type I can on the Zoom chat. Can you see it? No one is typing. Can you all hear me? Okay, I've just seen one person. Okay. If that one person can see, okay, I'm seeing multiple responses now. Okay, now let's move on. All right, thank you very much. Now, I am writing to express my concern regarding a distressing experience I had while using one off. Now, that's the first rule. Now, let's count it. I is 1, am is 2, writing is 3. So 1, 2, 3, each word. Let's do it. Let's do the counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 for the first rule. Now, you don't count the next line. You don't count the third line. You don't count the fourth line because you're going to waste your time. So your duty is to count how many rows there are on this page. Now, let's count the rows. From where you see I am is 1, your bosses 2, the vehicle 3, span of 1 hour 4, offered 5, of transport 6, these delays 7, professional consequences 8. I would recommend that your company 9, then provide better customer 10, passengers 11, thank you for your attention on this matter 12. So 18 times 12, who can do the mathematics? 18 times, we counted 18 the first row. Of course, all the rows may not be up to 18. Some are 3, some are 4, some 2, like where you see of transport, but just do an estimation. So 18 times 12 is what? Who is a good mathematician here? Times 10 is 180. 18 plus that 36, that's 216. So 18 times 12, am I correct? 216. Good, thank you. Now 216, and you're told to write 150 and above. We're very sure that it's not up to 216 words because so many rows there are very, very minute. They're not up to 18. Some are 10, some are. So let's say, give or take, we're going to have 180, 170. Are you seeing that? That's how you count. You count just the first row or the second, and then you multiply by the number of rows you were able to cover. If you do this, you can gauge yourself. Pick one page of a book and gauge yourself not to go beyond it. You can count 10 rows and write, say, 15 per row. And then you're seeing times 10 is 150. So if you extend to 12 rows, that's if it's 10 per row, then you're having 170. Okay, that's 10 times 10 is 200. Okay, 10 per row, 10, 10, 10. Times 10 is 100, sorry, times 20 is 200. So if you write 15, you're getting the 150, and then maybe 17 rows. 10 times 17 is 170, like that. So gauge yourself. Pick up a page and gauge yourself by rows. You can do that tonight while you practice. I'm going to send a task tonight for both the general training candidates and the academic training candidates. So I'm going to send a task so you can start practicing that tonight to start gauging yourself, because your answer sheet in the exam has a borderline. And so many people write beyond the borderline. They try to squeeze themselves or squeeze some information beyond the borderline because they are not done and they can't leave the information or the data half-baked or halfway. It must be completed. Are you saying that? So start gauging yourself. So you would go around 150, 160. Do it that way. Is that well understood? Is that well understood? I need your responses. Is that well understood? Oh my You guys are really slow in responding. Okay, okay. All right, thank you very much. Now let's move on. Now, for task achievements, if you covered all the key features, you described the graph very well. You illustrated, you interpreted the graph, you covered everywhere. For like the one yesterday, line graph we saw from January to March and then from April to June. Did you cover all the features? Those who came in person, the inquiries that came in person, that came by text or came by telephone, did you cover all the features? And I told you right as to comparing, follow the correction I gave. It would really guide you. Study it ideologically, contextually, conceptually. Just study it so you can write in sync as a guide. Okay, so for task achievement, the descriptor mark is 25%. Did you avoid opinions? For academic training, you don't put your opinion. You don't say, I think. No, you don't do that. It's not subjective, it's objective. The next one is coherence and cohesion. So, okay, someone said, very tricky. I tried it today and it was difficult. What exactly? Let me check. Okay, counting words. Okay, like I told you, just do it this way. It's very easy. Count the first row, then multiply it by the number of rows you've covered. That's all. It's not difficult. Okay, count the first rule multiplied by the number of rows. You don't need to start counting all the words. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you don't do that. Count all the rows. That's count the first row, then multiply by the number of rows you've covered. That's all. You're done. Okay, to give you an estimate, you'll just be around the number of words you've covered. Just be an estimate, maybe a difference of 10 beyond or a difference of 10 below. Okay, all right. So for number 2, coherence and cohesion, is your report logically structured? Are your ideas linking very much cohesively? That is, there is what's called transition. I said start your introduction with the line graph illustrates, the bar chart illustrate, the table illustrates. Mention the visual data you're seeing. If it's a line graph, stated there. If it's a bar chart, stated there. Do you understand? That's to start with. Now, if you want to link it with the next paragraph, it's overall. Always start overview paragraph with overall, or generally, that alone has linked it with the previous paragraph. This is what you call coherence and cohesion. Is it logically structured and reported? So the introduction, the overview, you don't write task 1 without overview paragraph. You're going to be marked down. You would have 5.0. You see, the overview paragraph is very important. Very, 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 very sacrosanct. Very important. So your lexical structure is the range of vocabulary you use. Do you use words accurately and appropriately? Now, don't use basic words. Like I always say, use advanced words. Your words should be not more of basic English or English language. Go a bit advanced in a way. And write intelligently. Do you grab? Write intelligently. Very, very important. So your range of vocabulary should be high, and make sure you punctuate correctly. Okay, now this applies to grammar, your mix of sentence structures, and then your tenses. If you're writing in past tense, please maintain the past tense. If you're writing in present tense, maintain present tense. If you're writing in future tense, maintain the future tense. Okay, so this applies to grammar. So you yourself, you can write your reports and then gauge yourself like an IELTS examiner. You now need to evaluate yourself before you even submit on the platform for me to evaluate. You can evaluate yourself on task achievement. You can evaluate yourself on coherence and cohesion. You can evaluate yourself on lexical resource. You can evaluate yourself on grammatical range and accuracy. Do you grab? You can evaluate yourself on these things, and then you're good to go. So when I send a task tonight, please practice this, employ it. Check yourself on task achievement. Did I cover every part of the graph? Ask yourself that question, then look. Because I told you, give 5 minutes to proofread your work, and this is where you do the check-ins. Okay? Hope your opinions were not in this. You just wrote as you saw. Then, did you logically structure all these things? Did you logically structure it? If you did, then you're good to go. Are your ideas linked using cohesive devices like transitions overall? Okay? For the overview paragraph, and then for the detailed paragraph, you can start with firstly from January to June, Secondly, that's like linking the paragraph, arranging it structurally. Initially, prices from this time to this time peaked at 50%. It was then followed by, go sequentially, break it down. There are vocabularies you can use there in front that I'm going to show you. Okay, very, very important. All right, now, like I gave your corrections, excuse me, I gave your corrections today, and you need to understand that there are things that make for your band 9. You can score band 9 in your writing. It's very, very easy. Okay, your introduction, paraphrase your question using your own words. Do not repeat the question, it reduces mark. Your overview, give a clear summary of the most noticeable trends and patterns. Avoid figures in the overview paragraph. Then describe and compare key data, right? Like you're comparing. You can split the graph information into two, like if it's 6 months, split it into two, January to March, then April to June. If there are 6 persons, the first three, the second three, the first three for the first detailed paragraph, the last three for the last detailed paragraph. You can do that splitting. Just write as to comparing between two things, two entities, two groups, okay, two concepts, two ideologies as presented in the graphs. So write like you're comparing, okay? No personal opinion because you are only reporting facts. Now, the next thing there is how to write a perfect overview, and I've said that it summarizes the most significant features or data without listing all details. The first one, it covers the highest and lowest points. Look at it closely. You can learn from it before I move on. I want to move on now because of time. It highlights major increases or decreases or patterns. It does not include specific numbers. Go to the highest and the lowest. Overall, the word overall there is to try to tell you how these things can be well written. Overall, do you grab? So you're not putting numbers, you're not putting figures, you're just summarizing, you're just being brief. Okay, now the structure of the task one, I've said that before. Your introduction, the chart shows, the chart illustrates. For paragraph 2, the overview, 3 and 4 body paragraphs, like that. Now look at the language and trends in data. If you are describing something that's increasing or something that increased on the graph, these are the terms you use. Look at it. Rows, you can use rows. These rows from 30% to 50% by May or in May 1998. You can just use rows, synonym increased, climbed, grew, from this to that, soared, dramatically increased. If you can see a very sharp increase, you can even use sharp, you can use soared. These are things you can use. These are vocabularies that you can use if you're describing increase, whether it's line graph, bar chart, whatever it is. When you're trying to describe, you can employ these vocabularies. For decrease, fell, declined, dropped, decreased, then plummeted. You can use any of this. Dramatic drop is plummeted. You can use any of this, okay? Now, if you're describing stability, something was stable throughout a period, then you can say remained steady, maybe slightly stable, just moved maybe 1% above, then back to the normal ground, and then below, remained steady, or remained slightly steady, stayed constant, was unchanged, and then leveled off. You can use any of this. Now, this class is recorded, so you can go over the record to remind yourself of this. These vocabularies help. They give you the mark that you desire. Do you understand? Because if you check many of your write-ups, you will discover that many of you excused yourself of these vocabularies. Now, these vocabularies matter a lot. You grab. Now, when something fluctuated, it went back and forth, up, down between the years, you can just say it fluctuated, it was erratic, it showed ups and downs. Now, for time phrases from 2000 to 2020, over a 10-year period, between January and June, this happened and that happened. Throughout the period shown, this happened and that happened. Whether it's an overview, you don't put dates and all of these figures in the detailed paragraph. So you can use something like this throughout the period shown for the overview because it doesn't show any figure. Okay? So these are vocabularies you can use to show the time or the dates. Do you get? Now, for comparative languages, to compare, because you're trying to compare, and I told you write like as to comparing. Now, if you want to write as to comparing, you can use phrases like higher than. This was higher than this at so time. The most significant change, the least significant change, the second highest. You're comparing the first highest, the second highest, you're comparing. And then slightly, this is slightly lower and approximately equal to, like that. So these are terminologies you can use. Now it's getting clearer because you practiced yesterday vaguely. That's why for most of your evaluations, I said this is very good for a start. You get very, very awesome for a start. Like as you hear this now, your mind is opening, and then you're saying, oh yeah, I can really apply this. I can really apply this here and this here. So when I give you a graph tonight, you can just go straight up to illustrate it. Do you grab? Now, let's do the next one. Now, yesterday's graph shows the number of inquiries received by Tourist Information Office in one city over a 6-month period. Now, look at the introduction I gave yesterday. The line graph illustrates how many inquiries of Tourist Information Office. Now, we did this. Okay, I don't want to spend so much time on it because of time, but if you look at it closely, when you're back to this class, you can pause it here and look at it closely. Look at my introduction. It's just a sentence, though this kind of sentence is called multiple sentence. Okay, so it's just a sentence, and if you look at the overview as well is one sentence. Remember, 150 words, you have 20 minutes. You're not writing the whole. You have task 2. Task 2 is very enormous. You grab task 2 is really damn enormous. So the introduction, one sentence, overview, one sentence. Look at the body paragraph. That's a detailed paragraph. It just has 3 sentences because it's detailed paragraph, and then the figures are really represented. Then body paragraph 2, because you're writing as to comparing, so you split it. Body paragraph 1, the first part. Body paragraph 2, the second part, and like that. So this is how you do it, and you're done. 150 words, 20 minutes, and you're done. Okay, you don't have to write like what I saw today. Oh my god, somebody wrote something. I don't want to call your name, but man, evaluating your stuff was really. You don't have to write that long. Come on, as brief as this, it's enough. All right. Now, common mistakes to avoid in task 1: writing less than 150 words. You're going to lose marks on task achievement, including your opinion. You're going to lose marks on task achievement as well. Your task 1 should be factual and objective. Listing data without comparing. I told you, write like you're comparing, because every graph has, like, it's showing trend. It's showing trend between these and that. It's showing the trend between maybe this line of information and that line of information. Please mute your mic if your mic is unmuted, so you don't have to disturb me. Now, if it's pie chart, it's showing proportion, like we saw, like what I gave yesterday. Okay, I don't want to minimize. Okay, because this is screen recorded. Now, I wanted to show you the pie charts. You're going to see where, you know what a pie chart is. It's divided in proportions, okay? Now, you're going to write as you're comparing between the 3. This was higher than this, followed by this, like that. Write like you're comparing. If you don't write as to comparing, then you're going to receive a low mark. Then don't ignore the overview paragraph. It's going to really affect you. Then don't repeat words. Try using synonyms for variety. As much as possible, use your synonyms very, very well. If you use rise in the introduction or overview, don't use it again in the detailed paragraph. There are a lot to use, like increase, like grow, like went up. There are lots you can use. Do you understand? And that's it for the academic training. I'm going to send a task tonight. Follow this class again, and your correction I gave, yes, except if you did not submit your assignment, then you do a very perfect work. Only one person got 7.0, and that was, I guess, Solomon or Bashir, I don't know, amongst both of them. Now, 7.0 or 7.5, by the way. So others 6.5, 6.0, and it's very good for a start. Like I said, someone got 5.0, I think, Emmanuel. Now, keep building. Tonight, I want you to get 7.0 for the least. Move up 7.5, 8.0. Before we get to Saturday, you're having 8.5 task 1, 8.5 task 2, and then you're good to go. Do you understand? And do not forget, at your leisures, you can try practicing the reading module and the listening. Find your new challenges, present them to me on the group. I'm going to do justice to that. If I'm very busy, I'm usually very busy. Instructor Daniel is going to do justice to that. Now, quickly, let's move to general training. If you have your questions, academic candidate, please, I'm going to respond to it later. Now, general training candidate, listen, you're doing letter writing like we've seen yesterday, and you're to write a letter in response to a situation. Don't forget, still 150 words, and you have to cover 3 bullet points. Yours is more specific, 3 bullet points. You must write 3 paragraphs. Now, types of letter in task 1. The formal letter is to someone you know, you do not know personally. It could be bank manager, it could be landlord, it could be council official, like you wrote yesterday. Somebody wrote, dear, I'll call the person's name, okay? Let me not go that because of time. Okay, your tone is being polite, being professional, being impersonal. That is, you're not personal. Okay, you're not being casual. Okay, you're very objective as possible. Your salutation, take note, dear sir or madam, take note. Your sign off is yours faithfully, not yours sincerely. If it's a formal letter, some of you made that mistake. It's yours faithfully, not yours sincerely. Do you grab? I couldn't have the chance to say this yesterday because yesterday was really much on me, just really heavy on me, and then I dozed off. Many of you didn't know. I dozed off. I woke up and I discovered that, man, I was off the class. Okay, I was really damn tired yesterday. I'm sorry about that. Okay, now for semi-formal letter, please take note of the formal letter. It's very important. Your salutation is dear sir or madam, then your introduction, which is your opening statement that states exactly the purpose for your writing. I'm writing to complain about my stay or something. So you're writing to that's opening statement. One sentence is okay. Remember, 150 words. You don't have to write, being bulky and being verbose. No, your sign off is yours faithfully. Then for semi-formal letter, it's to someone you know and the person is in a professional position or a professional context. It could be your husband, but then he's your manager as well. It could be your friend, but then he's your boss as well. You know the person, but then the person has a professional stand or a kind of big stand than you have. So it could be your boss, your landlord, your teacher. The tone is polite but slightly less rigid. You're not as rigid as the formal letter. Then your salutation is dear Mr. Then you put the surname. Don't forget this. These things have their scores. These things are part of your task achievements. You score it this way. The task achievements, coherence, cohesion, lexical accuracy, grammatical accuracy, all these apply to both general training and the academic training, please. They both apply. All right. They apply to you both. So, dear Mr. or dear Mrs., the surname. Okay, you can make this up. Okay, you make up this. Your sign off is yours sincerely, not yours faithfully. Take note of that. Yours sincerely, not yours faithfully. That's for semi-formal letter. Now for informal letter, you're writing to someone you know very well. Could be your friend, your family member. Your tone is casual and friendly. We're going to write an informal letter tonight. We're going to write one informal letter tonight. It's casual and friendly, and your salutation is dear Rose, dear Mary, dear John. Hi, Cindy, like that. Then your sign off is best wishes. Then you put your name. Take care, Tommy Emmanuel, like that. See you soon, Tommy Emmanuel, like that. Do you grab? So that's how you do it. Your tone is casual. So let's look at the structure. Your introduction, briefly state the reason after your greeting, which is your salutation. Number 2 is your introduction, where you briefly state the reason for writing. Then your body paragraph 1 is addressing the first bullet point. Your body paragraph 2 addresses. Please make sure you're linking these things with transition. Okay? There is firstly, there is secondly, there is thirdly, initially. Following this, comma, I experienced. So make sure you're linking. It's very much in sync. It's structurally arranged, and that you can build from the first to the last. And it's very much comprehensive, understandable. Address the second bullet point, the body paragraph 3, address the third bullet point, and your closing statement, 1 sentence, just like I wrote here. If you look down at this very page, you will see, thank you for your attention to this matter. I hope to hear from you soon. That's the closing statement. 1 sentence. In fact, 1 line is okay for that. 1 line. Do you understand? 1 line. Okay. Now look at this formal letter. You recently experienced a problem while traveling on public transport. Write a letter to the manager of the transport company. Your letter describe the problem. This is the first bullet point. Describe the problem. Second bullet point, explain how it affected you. Third bullet point, suggest what could be done to fix it. Dear sir or madam, greeting, salutation. You get your mark for that. Then you put a comma. Don't forget your comma. I said this yesterday. Do not forget your comma. Please, I beg of you. Now, I am writing to express my concern regarding a distressing experience I had while using one of your buses last Thursday, June 8th. Full stop. That's my opening statement. That's me telling the reason for my writing. I am writing to express my concern or to lay a complaint regarding or about an uncomfortable experience or distressing experience I had while using one of your buses last Thursday, June 8th. That last Thursday, June 8th is you being very specific to be sure, very specific, trying to indicate that you really had this experience and the memory is very green in your head. Do you grab? This is how to write. You write in a very convincing way. Okay? Now, first paragraph. The vehicle which was operating on Route 23 from Ikeja to CMS broke down twice within the span of 1 hour, leaving passengers stranded in heavy rain. To make matters worse, the driver offered no explanation or support, and many of us had no choice but to find alternative means of transport. This delay cost me to miss an important business meeting, resulting in financial. See, you see the linking now from the first experience, that's the first thing that happened, to the next one that happened, that so what it cost, that is how it affected you. You see it now. The delay caused me to miss an important business meeting, resulting in financial and professional consequences. I believe other passengers face similar disruptions. Full stop. Always punctuate well. I would recommend, because you in your third bullet point you to suggest what could be done, I would recommend that your company carry out regular maintenance checks on buses and provide better customer support training for your drivers. A partial refund for affected passengers would also be a welcome gesture. Excuse me. You see that? And then your closing statements. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I hope if you follow this as a guide, you may not get it very much at the start, but as you progress, you become a very good letter writer. Very good letter writer, whether it's formal, informal, like that. Don't be afraid. Just get your pen and write something. You build, your perfection comes in from there. Do you understand? Okay? Then yours faithfully, Emmanuel Okafor, because it's a formal letter, so your sign off is yours faithfully. Now, I wrote also for informal, Dear Anita. So, okay, you have just moved to a new city and you want to tell your friend about your new life. Write a letter to your friend in your letter. Tell him or her where you live. Describe what the new city is like. Invite him or her to the very place or to visit. Dear Anita, I hope you're doing great. You can only do these intros in formal letter. I mean, in informal letter. In semi-formal, you can also do it where you write, I hope this letter meets you well. Okay, I hope you're doing great. I wanted to let you know that I've finally, I made a mistake there, I have I apostrophe VE, finally settled into my new apartment in Port Harcourt, and I thought I'd write to tell you about it. I live in a cozy, tell him or her where you live. I live in a cozy bedroom flat just off Adag. So, like that. You've got to come to visit. I've already set up a guest room and we can explore the city together on the weekend. My closing statement, let me know when you're free. I miss you. Now, this casual, take care, Emmanuel, like that. You get. Now, common mistakes you make in general training task one is using an informal tone in a formal letter. Many people do this without knowing, because all their life they've been very much informal. And so the formal letter to them is a very, very alien thing to do. I mean, it's been a while they wrote something, they were very formal all through their life. So it's been a while. It didn't affect them. Okay, now forgetting to address all the three bullet points is also a mistake. Writing fewer than 150 words, then overusing contractions in formal writing. You know what contractions are? Contractions are you contracting words. For instance, cannot contracted as can't, will not contracted as won't. When these things happen, you don't do that in formal letter. It's wrong. You don't do that. Very important. Do not forget this. Using vague phrases like a bad thing happened instead of giving clear details. If something happened, state it and state how it happened and how it affected you. Be very clear and very concise. Do you understand? And that's the end of the manuscript for tonight's class. And I hope you learned, and this would surely serve as a guide. And thankfully, this was recorded. So I'm going to send the video to the class, and it's going to be a very big guide for all of you. Is that taken? Now, who has a question? Who has a question? Who has a question?